Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, extremely happy and proud to be here today. Not necessarily just because Lekan, who's somebody I've known almost a lifetime, is getting this award, but particularly to celebrate GFW and the work that Heather's been doing, particularly important. For some of you that may not focus on it, a lot of the issues around widows is cultural. Breaking down these barriers are not just things we talk about. It's about changing. Culture is, been there ever since the world started in most of these jurisdictions. And so the effort that GFW is making, the leadership that Heather has shown, is particularly important. And I think we need to celebrate that this evening. I think also, again, just to say, so I sit on the board of the Ford Foundation, but with respect to what we're doing here tonight, I maybe bring attention to the African Philanthropy Forum, where I also sit on the board, and how we're trying to focus attention on how do we make philanthropy more strategic on the African continent. Africans by nature, we are philanthropic. We tend to give. The question is, do we give strategically? Do we give to causes that resonate? Do we pack a punch behind particular causes? And so for the work that GFW is doing is important. And so when I was asked to present Lekan's award, I had no hesitation in accepting the opportunity, not the challenge, the opportunity. So I got on a flight last night, flew 12 hours across the Atlantic, and I'm here. And I think and I'm happy that the room is full, because I think it sends the signal that we need to send. And I'm not plugging Zane's book, but I think it's important to talk about where our children take us. In the Western world, people tend to move because partners move, wives and husbands move. In Africa, we tend to move because our children want a change. Either that we move because educational opportunities are better, we move because life is better somewhere else. And so I know that there's only one copy of the book on each table, whoever's going to get first dibs on the copy, I think it's important that the rest of us look it up. I have a copy, I've read it, because it tells a story that is not necessarily just that widows also make that choice to go where their children want to take them. But I think it's important because it brings a perspective that we all don't think about. Finally, to Lekan. Great businessman, great friend, great family man. Tomi and Lekan built a life in North America that they could have built anywhere else in the world. I think it's important to acknowledge that philanthropy comes naturally to them. I think it's important to recognize that they built a great business in West Africa. And I think that Heather's made a great choice in this year's award. And I have no hesitation, particularly proud to be recognizing Lekan for this year's award. And I know that it's a kicker to more philanthropy on his side. And I know that, just as I say that we should all get more strategic with our giving, I recognize that with this award, I'm sure Lekan will will concentrate his efforts around supporting widows, supporting the continent, changing the narrative, and making sure that we achieve the objectives. On a final note, I think I would like to recognize Professor Tijani Bande. I think, we tend to sometimes complain about embassies and the focus they place on issues, to celebrate the fact that the permanent mission of Nigeria in the US has been at the leadership of recognizing the problems that widows go through, and has very bravely acknowledged this evening that this is something that we are still battling with in Nigeria and on the continent. We're not going to solve the problems tomorrow, but I think it's important that we focus attention on it, that the messaging is right, that governments get behind the message, and that with the support of all of you in the room this evening, that we will achieve that objective. So thank you very much for listening to me. So if I could have Lekan come up. It's the African Leadership Award 2022 to Mr. Lekan, Akinyanmi, and say that's why his son was giggling. It was your pronunciation of the name. So it's founder, leader, advocate for your unwavering championship of widows, Global Fund for Widows. So distinct honor and pleasure to be presenting this to Lekan on behalf of GFW.